that he had put her head on a shelf and screamed at it for an hour, threw darts at it, and ultimately smashed her face in. He also cut her tongue out and her larynx and put them in a garbage disposal.
Tell me in a sentence who you are.
I'm nobody. I'm a bum. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine and a straight razor if you get too close to me.
Do you ever feel violent?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
You still feeling killing people?
Yes.
Describe the feeling that you get when you feel like killing people.
Well, last March 11th, I was hallucinating, and I took a razor blade and I cut a man's throat.
Here in the hospital?
Here in the hospital.
Do you think you'd murder me, Joe?
Yes.
That's gruesome, Joe. That's horrible.
Yes, it is.
And you don't blame me if I say I hope you never get out of this place.
I hope I never do either.
In December of 2022, investigators sat across from Tanner Horner looking for one thing: Athena Strand. For nearly 2 days, hundreds of people had searched for the missing 7-year-old. But investigators were beginning to realize that Horner knew exactly where she was. He had been the delivery driver at Athena's home the afternoon she disappeared. And when detectives compared what Horner told them to the evidence they had already collected, his story began to fall apart. One explanation became another: an accident, panic, memory problems, and eventually an alter ego he called Zero. But investigators kept asking questions. Eventually, Horner led them to Athena. More than 3 years later, he entered a courtroom facing capital murder and the possibility of execution. Then, moments before his trial began, he pleaded guilty. For the jury, the question was no longer whether he killed her, but he had admitted to it. Now 12 people would decide whether he would spend the rest of his life in prison or die for what he had done. Tonight we're going into the interrogation room, the courtroom. We're hearing testimony from the mother and father, and we're following the case through the verdict, the sentencing, and the appeal happening. Welcome to the Murder Podcast Show.
Good evening, all of you fantastic Murder Podcast Show fans. Welcome to another Saturday evening here on the Murder Podcast Show. I, per usual, am your host, also known as...
Who are you? I am the architect.
That's right. They call me the architect, the mastermind behind it all over here in my corner. Alongside of me is my co-host,
Criminology, Chris.
Good evening.
That was very Dracula-esque.
Mr. Criminology Chris. That's right. That's right. And alongside of Criminology Chris is the director of all of our social media platforms.
Time to check my social media.
Classroom Jackie.
What's up, guys?
And per usual, as always, we do have the analyst, Unsafe Snuggie, in the chat. She's our moderator. She is always there. And she will put you in timeout if you misbehave.
I'm Unsafe Snuggie. I will be your analyst for this evening. Please remember to be respectful in the comments, or you will be put in timeout. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
That's right. Sit back, relax, and enjoy that show, per Unsafe Snuggie. And no, she does not really sound like that. That'd be weird if she did. Now, for our sponsors, do you need quality automotive repair and maintenance you can trust? Because you're in luck if you do, all right? Visit Mr. Wrenches of Akron, LLC. They're conveniently located across from the Derby Downs at 1175 George Washington Boulevard in Akron, Ohio. They offer fast service, friendly customer care, reliable repairs, honest and professional work. Whether you need routine maintenance or repairs, we're here to help keep you on the road. By appointments or walk-ins are welcome. Give them a call today and you can ask for Gage, or you can stop in today. And then we have Crafty Corner by Laura. Laura makes a wide selection of handmade crochet plushies, both cute and creepy. Pop culture, fantasy, anime, and horror. They also specialize in custom orders, like the various custom orders we have located in our studio here. You can follow them on Instagram at the.crafty.corner.by.Laura. And that's right, as I always tell you, there's 3 dots in there. I don't get paid enough to tell you where they're located.
I'll help you guys.
Let's head on over real quick to Classroom Jackie for her 1 minute of murder segment.
Classroom Jackie's 1 minute of murder.
All right, guys. So we're still continuing to post on our Instagram, but we're getting nothing. We're still at 44. So that's not growing very much. Our Facebook, we are at 170.
Heck yeah.
YouTube, we are 10 away from 700.
Nice. 10 away.
10 away. And now our TikTok, 2,666 still.
Oh man, we're at that 666 there.
We were in 2,400 last week.
Yeah.
So we grew.
Yeah, we've grown
A substantial amount.
We are at 690 now on YouTube.
Yeah, we are.
It must have just gone up because it was like 689 yesterday or this morning. So
yeah, we're at 690 now.
Cool. Awesome. We do appreciate everybody always liking, subscribing, and sharing all of our social media content. And as we always like to tell you, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to the YouTube channel here. And don't forget to hit the little notification bell. What that will do is that will notify you every time we're going to go live here on YouTube every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's right. Ding. The little bell thingy.
Ding.
So yeah, we are continuing and we are wrapping up the Athena Strand case. Wow, the loud noises. That's right, the fair.
Yeah, it's a tractor pull night tonight.
So we are wrapping up, and this is part 2. It's going to be a lot of in-depth stuff with the trial and the court.
This is going to be a little bit longer episode than last week. But not very long.
So yeah, we are going to jump on in. So before we begin, this episode discusses the kidnapping and murder of a 7-year-old child. We will also discuss statements made during Tanner Horner's police interviews of sexual violence introduced during the punishment proceedings, mental health testimony, suicide attempts discussed during the defense case, and the death penalty. Some of the evidence presented to the jury was extraordinarily disturbing. We are deliberately not recreating the most graphic portions of that. Just due to the fact we're not going there when it comes to this.
People don't need to see that stuff.
Exactly. There is a difference between explaining why evidence mattered and unnecessarily repeating the suffering of a child. We can tell you what the jury needed to understand without turning Athena's final moments into entertainment. Please use discretion while listening. So, when we ended part 1, the search for Athena had begun moving in a new direction. Investigators had identified the man responsible for delivering a package to her father's property on the afternoon she disappeared. Tanner Horner. Until then, the investigation had contained enormous uncertainty. Athena could have wandered away. She could have become injured somewhere outside. Someone she knew could have picked her up, or someone could have taken her. Every possibility had to remain open until evidence eliminated it. But the FedEx delivery gave investigators something concrete. A document event, there was a package, there was a delivery time, there was an assigned route, there was a vehicle, and there was a driver. That meant detectives didn't have to search for an unknown stranger who might have driven through that area. They had a name.
They also had something investigators in older cases could only dream of: technology. Modern commercial delivery systems can preserve enormous amounts of information: GPS locations, route records, delivery timestamps, vehicle movements, and depending on the system, audio and video recordings. Those systems are normally designed for safety, logistics, insurance, and accountability. But in this case, they became the evidence. And that evidence would ultimately become one of the most important reasons investigators could challenge the stories Horner was telling them.
Texas Ranger Job E, is what I'm going to pronounce his last name,
Espinoza.
became deeply involved in the investigation. By December 2nd, law enforcement was trying to determine what Horner knew about Athena. Initially, investigators could approach him as someone who had been present near the time she disappeared, but that position changed rapidly. Excuse me, coffee. What a shocker. Information had connected to the delivery vehicle placed Athena with Horner. The investigation had crossed an enormous threshold. Athena had not simply disappeared into the countryside. She had been inside that van. Now the central question became, what happened after Tanner Horner left Athena's home?
And imagine the difference that makes for investigators. For 2 days, search teams have been looking outward. Fields, creeks, roads, outbuildings, tree lines. But now the investigation was narrowing towards one person, the man sitting in front of them. And at this point, investigators had to be extremely careful. They needed information, they needed the truth, but above everything else, they needed to find Athena.
One of Tanner's explanations involved an accident. He claimed that while backing the delivery vehicle, he had struck her. According to his account, he panicked because he believed there would be consequences. He could lose his job, he could lose his pay, money coming in, he could be blamed for hurting a child. That explanation attempted to establish a starting point, an accident, quote unquote, something unintentional. And from there, Horner could portray everything that followed as panic. But investigators had evidence that raised serious problems with that story. Vehicle recording showed Athena alive and conscious after the supposed collision. That distinction mattered enormously.
Because listen to what Horner's story was asking investigators to accept. He wasn't oh my goodness. He wasn't simply saying, I hit her. He was creating a narrative about why everything afterwards happened. That accident was supposed to explain the panic. It was supposed to explain his decisions. And those decisions were supposed to become an uncontrolled chain reaction. But if the evidence showed Athena conscious and functioning afterwards, investigators could ask a much more difficult question. Why didn't he get help? Call Athena's family, call 911, tell the employer, take her back to the house. Any of those choices would have been available. Instead, she ended up inside the delivery vehicle, and Horner drove away.
This became one of the reoccurring themes of the prosecution's case years later. Choices, not simply one terrible moment, a sequence of decisions. Every time Horner had an opportunity to stop prosecutors, they argued that he made a different choice. And investigators in December of 2022 were beginning to reconstruct those choices one at a time. So I'm going to play, we did some of the, the whole interrogation last week. We did a little bit of it. I actually have the clip I want to play of it right now is him actually telling the story based on what we just said, that he struck her and he panicked. So
this is where as you listen, don't focus only on the words. Listen to the structure of the conversation. Listen to the investigators allowing Horner to establish the story. Because once a person commits to a version of events, investigators can begin comparing that version against what they already know.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and play that right now. This is when Tanner is telling this whole fake story of, I accidentally struck her.
She wasn't too early hurt, but it was. I can make of it. I didn't know what to do. One day there was I can lose my job, lose my source of income, and like everything was all I didn't know what to do about it. So I need to learn to. I listened to the hello voice in my head that told me just go and go, and I did. Okay. So you said you were too bad. Under. I mean, she had some breakfast. So she's come on to you, and when she said it, she was worried that I was kidnapper. And what he told her. So we're calm. She didn't know what we were going at it. No one could tell her, so I would just tell you about random things. So then, okay, it's okay. Stevie, she was a sweet kid. Okay, so you were a fear of having to be in trouble for getting her my shot. That was your biggest fear. Okay, then what? Cool. I was trying to remember, but just trying to figure out what I was going to do about the situation. And what she doing? Asking questions, just we were just talking at this point. Yeah, she said there, she's standing up, she in the passenger seat where she at. She's standing out, she's in the back. Okay. What she has? Just random things. Like I just had her talking. It was I don't know. And then what you doing? We went down this private road and I listened to that little voice again. What it takes. You want to tell me? To her. To her. Go listen. Then how'd you hurt? So like, so how'd you go? No, it's alright. Well, no, it's alright to tell him. It's okay to tell me. You gotta get it off your chest. You let yourself, you gotta get it off your chest, okay? So I'm listening to. Okay. If you don't want to talk about how you heard in detail your story, and then let's talk about how she ended up after you heard her, where did you take her? So the part was going to figure out what I was going to do from that point. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just started heading back to the station. And then while I was driving back to the station, I saw the kangaroo. Obviously, she's obviously we're in a father, so much.
Hand up that he's trying to think of what he's going to say.
Yes. Yeah. Chris, you probably could read in there too. Oh yeah, that's true. Excessive drinking water is a huge red flag. All the clearing the throat.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just saying as we were watching it that you can see when the investigators ask him questions and he puts his hand up to his head or rubs his face, he's thinking of how he's going to answer.
Well, yeah, and he's probably, on the fence about actually just letting it go,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And the whole that tossing her into a bush thing. I seen a bush, so I just threw her in there, and it's, yeah. Yeah, he's what Unsafe said on her first
Gross
comment there. Gross, and his acting horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And he's trying to like fake tears because they're like, "Come on, just get it off your chest," and he's like, "It's just bad. It's bad," and he's trying to force the tears and stuff. So
reminds me of another case we covered.
Which one was that?
Murdaugh.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. That guy. Yeah. Yeah. That guy was something else, which he's going to be going back to trial, so that'll be fun.
We'll do a recap soon.
Yes. So that video right there was not the end of his so-called explanations. His account continued changing, and that matters because changing stories becomes evidence themselves. A person can genuinely mistaken about a detail. Memory isn't perfect. Stress can affect recall. Investigators understand that. But when important parts of a story repeatedly change as new evidence is brought in, detectives begin asking whether those changes are mistakes or attempts to stay ahead of the whole story. Horner had eventually admitted Athena had been inside the van. He eventually had admitted responsibility for her death, but even while making increasingly serious admissions, he continued presenting explanations that shifted responsibility away from himself. One of the most unusual involved a person he called Zero, which that makes me think of
Nightmare Before Christmas.
yeah, every time. Wasn't that the dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Horner described Zero as another part of himself. At points during questioning, investigators described changes in his physical behavior when he claimed Zero was present. Texas Ranger Espinoza later testified that investigators engaged with the Zero persona because doing so appeared to make Horner more willing to answer those questions. That doesn't mean investigators accepted Zero as an independently existing personality. It means they still had a 7-year-old girl missing. Their priority wasn't diagnosing Tanner Horner. Their priority was to find Athena. If asking Zero a question produced an answer, they were going to do it.
And investigators had continued engaging with that persona during subsequent interviews. Horner offered different information about what had actually happened. He gave inconsistent descriptions. He discussed the location of her. He attempted to bargain. I feel like they all try to do that at some point. At one point during questioning, he repeatedly proposed the idea of being released on house arrest with an ankle monitor so he could spend one final Christmas with his son. And that's what we had watched last week, which is, stupid. Thinking about what investigators were confronting, a 7-year-old child was still missing. Her family was awaiting for answers. And the man investigators believe knew where she was attempting to negotiate his own future. Unsafe. Same and Stranger Things, the Zero guy, he is so unoriginal. Oh, yeah, that's right. Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never watched that.
I did. Not.
Where did that come from in there?
I watched all of season 1 and then about half of season 2, but I never got around to finishing it because it became like this whole huge thing where it blew up and then everybody was obsessed.
Yeah.
But I know how it, ended. I saw that.
You didn't want to sell out. That's what you're saying.
Who, me? Yeah. I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon,
Not jumping on the wagon. Yeah.
The interrogation also provided something prosecutors would later emphasize. Horner's focus frequently appeared to return to himself. What would happen to him? What would happen to his job, his family, his future, his punishment? Texas Ranger Espinoza later characterized Horner as presenting himself like the victim of what was happening. And the observation became relevant during the punishment trial because jurors were eventually asked to evaluate remorse, accountability, mental health, future danger, and mitigation. The interrogation became more than the story of how investigators found Athena. It became a window prosecutors could use to show jurors how Horner responded when confronted with his own actions.
So I'm going to skip by because I don't have exactly the part on the whole Zero transformation back and forth.
We did cover it last week. So.
Yeah, I tried to find it, but there's so much video footage to go through.
We just know.
I have more coming from the FBI now,
right. And we just know that it's been a week. Everybody has jobs and stuff, so we wanted to do a quick little recap to start it out.
Jobs and stuff. Eventually, the interviews had produced what investigators needed most. A location. Law enforcement was directed towards the spot near Trinity River, southeast of Boyd. There, investigators had recovered her. The massive search that had consumed Wise County for 2 days was now finished. but nobody was celebrating about that. I mean, yeah, they found her, but there was still a lot of things to do yet. A lot. No child being carried back into her family's arms. Instead, investigators now had a homicide scene. The case changed. Athena's family had spent 2 days living between fear and hope. Now there was only grief.
And from an investigative standpoint, everything changed too. Search teams became evidence teams, locations had to be secured, items needed to be photographed before being moved. Evidence had to be collected and labeled. Chain of custody had to begin. The delivery vehicle had to be examined. Digital evidence had to be preserved. Horner's clothing and belongings would become relevant. DNA could become relevant. His phone, internet activity, the route he drove, every action mattered because investigators understood something. This case might someday become a death penalty trial. And in a capital case, every piece of evidence is going to be challenged.
So Horner was finally, arrested. Find my place again. Body cam footage from that would later become public and become part of the story juries heard years later. But an arrest isn't a conviction. Investigators couldn't simply say he confessed and stopped working. They had to build a case independent of Horner's words. If he changed his story, once again, if he later claimed his confession was unreliable, if the defense challenged his, mental state, which during the trial they tried to say that, which we'll get into that, and that was the most ridiculously stupid thing I had ever heard on what he was trying to claim. Prosecutors, they needed evidence capable of standing on its own. So I could bring up, give me a second here, and I'll bring up the body cam footage from when they arrested him. So one of you guys want to talk or say anything at all, or
What do you think about this guy so far?
Tell us about your khakis, Chris, or
Yeah, I don't even I have a hard time with this one, honestly. Like, that's why I guess I'm a little quiet. It's just hearing about this is just upsetting, on all accounts,
Agreed.
Every part of this is just a little disgusting. I feel terrible for the family and everybody involved that had to deal with this.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play the body cam footage here real quick. It's only about a minute. No, I'm sorry. It's only about, 47 seconds or so. So here it is.
Step back. Step back. Keep your man. Step back. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. There's something. Maybe wait a minute. Yeah. That's you're one. You're not there. Mm-hmm. Like bombs or anybody? No, sir. I believe that. No, sir. What is this? What you got in your pocket? Keys? I don't realize. Dinner?
So yeah, that was just a quick clip there of his when he was being taken into custody. And so the months following when he was actually taken into custody was about
Corroboration.
Yeah, it's so weird. Why is it weird? Why is everybody giggling?
It's a weird word.
It is. Because I think of like collaboration,
Mhm.
Investigators examined digital evidence. They reviewed vehicle recordings. They collected forensic things.
Evidence.
They examined Horner's movements. They reviewed statements. They executed warrants. DNA was collected. Items associated with the van were documented. Investigators even examined details as specific as tread patterns on Horner's footwear as they worked through the physical evidence. The point was not to find one magical piece that solved everything. That doesn't really happen that often. It's pretty rare. Strong criminal cases are usually built more like walls, one brick at a time. A timestamp supports a witness, a recording supports a timeline, a forensic result supports a statement. A search history reveals that someone was thinking about the crime, and eventually those independent pieces became reinforcing each other.
Digital evidence became particularly significant. Jurors later heard evidence concerning internet searches Horner made after Athena was killed. That kind of evidence doesn't automatically tell you why someone searched for something, but prosecutors can place it into context. What time was the search? Had it already happened? What did Horner know at that moment? And was the public reporting? Was he looking for information about the missing child search? Those questions matter because behavior after a crime can sometimes reveal awareness of what people had done.
Unsafe, too. I meant to touch base on what you had said during that arrest video. Yeah, his face just pisses me off. Like, what kind of monster thinks he deserves any rights, like spending time with his kid? That's just it. We talked about that last week, too, and it's just like, really, man, that's the only thing you care about? Like, that's just crazy. And who would let him around a, kid, too? That's very true. So, meanwhile, the legal process had begun. On February 16th, 2023, Horner was indicted for aggravated kidnapping and capital murder of a person under 10. The state announced his intention to seek the death penalty. Horner originally pleaded not guilty, and that set the stage for capital prosecution. This is the first place in the episode where we'd stop and read directly from the official charging documents. Not supposed to read that part. But I like to read that part, okay? It makes me feel fancy. I do have, let me read real quick because I do have the warrant. I'll just kind of read what the warrant looks like here. Get off my screen. So, warrant of arrest to any sheriff, constable, or peace officer of the state of Texas. Greetings. You are hereby commanded to arrest Tanner Horner, white male, date of birth. They blocked that out. Texas driver's license, that's blocked out too. If to be found in your county, and bring Tanner Lynn Horner before me. The undersigned 271 First District Court Judge, a magistrate in and for Wise County, Texas, at my office at 100 North Trinity Street, Decatur, Texas, 76234. In said county immediately, and then there to answer the state of Texas for an offense against the laws of said state. Capital murder of person under 10, which is YOA, Texas Penalty Code Section 19.03, capital felony, of which offense she, Tanner Lynn Horner, is accused by the written complaint under oath of investigator Joseph O. Filed before me, herein fail not, but of this right make due return as the law directs, given under my hand office this 2nd day of December 2022. The bond was set for $1 million. It was signed, and that's it. And I
always wondered what a warrant actually read and said. I've never seen one, thankfully.
Yes.
I'm a good kid. I'm a good apple.
Oh, I got court.
Court documents have a strange way of reducing enormous events to a few paragraphs. A child's entire death became a count. A kidnapping became statutory.
There's no horn. Unsafe, there's no horn, so you're going to have to deal with it.
What's this word?
Statutory.
Statutory language. Dates, names, case numbers, signatures. But that's how the justice system works. Emotion may explain why a case matters. Evidence and law determine what can be done about it. And from 2023 forward, Athena's family entered one of the longest stages of the process, waiting.
Capital murder cases rarely move quickly, and there are reasons for that. When prosecutors seek death, the legal system demands additional scrutiny. Defense attorneys had to investigate not only the alleged crime, but the defendant's entire life. I guess I'll cope. Yeah, because there's no horn.
No, that's we're trying to figure out what time the thing was.
No, I know what she was
sorry,
saying.
unsafe. It's permanently retired.
No, it's not permanently anything.
Oh
Yes,
God,
it is.
He jumped on that real quick.
It will be retired soon. You won't find it.
No, she won't find it. Don't worry about it.
I know where it is.
I got it under control.
Okay, then. Yeah. Defense attorneys have to investigate not only the alleged crime, but the defendant's entire life, childhood, education, medical history, mental health history, family relationships, trauma, substance abuse, development, prior criminal behavior, anything that could potentially become mitigation evidence during sentencing. Experts may need to examine the defendant. Records may need to be obtained from multiple states, hospitals, schools, employers, or agencies. The prosecution conducts its own preparation. Both sides file motions. The judge determines what experts may testify about. Jury selection becomes extraordinarily careful because potential jurors may be legally capable of considering both life and death.
And while lawyers do all of that, a family waits. That's the part we sometimes lose in courtroom coverage. From the outside, we say the case was delayed, a hearing was moved, the trial is scheduled next year. But for Athena's parents, every one of those delays represented more time before a conclusion. More birthdays, more holidays, another anniversary of November 30th, another year without Athena. By the time Horner finally entered a courtroom for trial in April of 26, Athena would have been 10 years old. The little girl in the photographs was permanently 7, but the world had continued moving around her family.
So we're going to enter into the guilty plea here. April 7th, 2026, the prosecution was ready. The defense was ready. A jury had been selected. Tanner Horner entered the court facing capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. For more than 3 years, the public expected a trial in which prosecutors would attempt to prove his guilt. Then moments before proceedings began, Horner pled guilty. Capital murder, guilty. Aggravated kidnapping, guilty. The entire structure of the trial changed. I remember when that happened, too.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. Oh, the thingy.
Oh, okay.
That point is important because when we talk about the Horner trial, listeners may assume jurors ultimately found him guilty. They didn't have to. He admitted it himself. There would be no guilt or innocence phase requiring 12 jurors to decide whether the state had proven he committed the crime. Instead, the case immediately moved into punishment. But this was not a formality. Horner still faced 2 radically different outcomes: life in prison without parole or death. The jury had to decide which one.
You know what time I think it is?
What time is that?
Oh, do you want to play a game?
I think it is now going to be murder trivia time here on the Murder Podcast Show. And as you can tell, I'm not playing the game music because I was notified. YouTube flagged me for the game show music. Didn't hurt the channel, but they said if we ever want to consider monetization one day, that could affect that. So
can we make our own game show sound?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Let's have the sound of gas and motorcycles running and yeah, that's about it. Anyways.
Could you make a game show thing revving both of your motorcycles?
Sure. We'll get right on that and we'll gas ourselves out too. That'll be great.
We have driveways.
Oh yeah, that's true. So anyways, Chris.
I really like the music. It really
I know. But if we ever want to consider becoming monetized, I gotta watch it. Things in the stuff.
I know,
They're so strict.
So
even some of the darker episodes, it really just kind of just lighten the mood a little.
So you know what? I don't care.
No.
Welcome to Murder Trivia here on the Murder Podcast Show. That's right. We ask you a series of 4 questions every Saturday. And we have our returning winner from last week, Unsafe Snuggie, in the chat. She is all by herself in the chat, so she's got a hell of a chance of winning again. Remember, if you win absolutely fucking nothing.
And I don't remember any of these, so I'm going to guess 2.
Here we go. Question number 1. What did serial killer David Berkowitz claim commanded him to kill? We have A, his hamster, B, his cat, C, grandma's fish, or D, his neighbor's dog. She loved her prize last week. It was great. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you
Don't play the songs. Don't get us. Don't
No,
get us
they didn't care about that. They only said the game show. That was it. Yes, I know. Don't ask. Okay. So what did serial killer
D.
David Berkowitz claim commanded him to kill? A, his hamster, B, his cat, C, grandma's fish, or D, his neighbor's dog? Unsafe, the only one in the chat, says D.
I'm going C. No, I'm going B.
It's pretty exciting.
And the answer is, here we go. The answer is D, his neighbor's dog. Unsafe, congratulations. You are that much closer to winning absolutely nothing again.
Yeah.
Neighbor's dog. What was his neighbor's dog's name?
I don't remember.
Wasn't it Randy?
It was Harvey.
Harvey, that's right. Harvey the dog. What a name for a dog. Question number 2. What American cannibal had 29 needles hidden in his body when he was brought to the electric chair? A, John Wayne Gacy, B, Jeffrey Dahmer, C, Albert Fish, or D, Armin Muse, right?
Muse.
I have a question about that. Was that so he would cry better? Or because he wanted to feel the pain?
I don't know what kind of effect on it. I don't know.
I feel like it would just make him more shocky.
What American cannibal had 29 needles hidden in his body when he was brought to the electric chair? A, John Wayne Gacy, B, Jeffrey Dahmer, C, Albert Fish, or D, Armin Muse? No clue. Mouse? Mize?
Muse.
Muse. No clue. What?
What?
B, she says. She says B, Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is C, Albert Fish.
We have to cover him.
That's all right. Yeah, we definitely will. Unsafe, you're still doing good. You're in the running here against everybody else in the chat.
Actually, Dahmer, I think, was the only one there that didn't go to the chair. I think he got beat to death by another
Before he was supposed to go,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, he never quite made it.
Question 3. What serial killer was nicknamed the Giggling Grandma?
The Giggling Grandma.
A, Nanny Doss. B, Eileen
Wuornos.
C, Marie Hilly, or D, Mary Ann Cotton? That's right. What serial killer was nicknamed the Giggling Grandma? Nanny Doss, Eileen Wuornos, Marie Hilly, or Mary Ann Cotton?
I can't say what I was going to say.
Alrighty. No clue, but A.
Yeah,
The answer is A, Nanny Doss.
you're good with your no clues.
You're doing great, Unsafe.
Yeah.
So, if Unsafe, if you get this last one right, that's it.
You win a prize.
You are the winner 2 weeks in a row.
I think she was called the Giggling Grandma, right? Because of her interrogations. She was giggling through them.
I believe so. I'm going to have to look that up.
I think she was giggling through the interrogations or something.
We might have to
because
cover
she
her.
Killed people in her family and husband,
I had
or something.
never heard of her before, honestly.
Yeah.
Nanny in South equals grandma. Oh, okay. Well, is Nanny like grandma out here too?
Yeah. I mean, well, some people will say Nana.
Nana. That's what my son calls my mom. Nana.
I think I know this case because I think somebody did like a rip-off fake story about it. So I'm pretty sure I know what this one was.
Unsafe. I have no clue who she is too, but I'm going to definitely look into that.
I think a while ago, I think we actually listened to a podcast about it.
Mm-hmm.
While we were driving or something. I don't know.
All right, Unsafe. Here you go. 4th and final question. What was Athena Strand's favorite color? A, purple, B, blue, C, pink, or D, green? What was Athena Strand's favorite color? Purple, blue, pink, or green? Unsafe says C. And the answer is C, pink.
Yay!
Congratulations, Unsafe.
That is correct.
You are the winner 2 weeks in a row. You have won absolutely
Yay.
nothing at all. Congratulations.
So we're going to have to ship another one of those?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to
Please.
ship another one of those.
It's a box with nothing.
It's a box with nothing.
It's getting costly, but it ships from a location near you.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, her mom wore pink for her.
And dyed her hair.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's such an honor, Unsafe. Way to go.
I know.
Okay.
That's 2 weeks in a row. We've had nobody win 2 weeks in a row. That's fantastic. Your prize might have to get up from nothing to absolutely nothing. It might.
And then there's one step after that.
That might actually require a larger box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to have to pay more on the postal fee, too.
And then the next one is absolutely fucking nothing. That's the next step.
And that will actually have to come LTL.
Yeah.
You'll require a forklift to offload.
Oh, my God, really? Jesus. Yes.
It'll be a box with his picture in it.
She's already got a lot of those, so I don't have to send them in a box. She gets my face.
Once a box of nothing was in a box of her pictures of you.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Wow. You hear this shit?
Not like a, well,
okay, anyways,
pictures she can
continuing
keep.
on now.
Other things can break. Pictures won't break.
That is true.
We
That
can't
is
send
true.
you. That's illegal.
But Unsafe, we do have this for you. Congratulations. We do appreciate you playing Murder Trivia here on the Murder Podcast Show.
It's illegal to mail people through the mail.
That is true. That is true.
Holes in the box.
Yes.
Oh, and if you mark it live animal and put it in a crate.
Put some sandwiches in there.
Some crackers.
It's me, huh?
You're at the
Yeah.
at 8. The state's punishment case.
Oh my gosh. So the prosecution began presenting evidence. Texas Ranger Job E.
Espinoza.
I'm gonna
Just
continue
tell
to call
him
him
Texas
E.
Ranger Espinoza.
No, became a major a major witness. The jury heard about the investigation, the green delivery van, interviews, the accident story 0, the changing explanations, the efforts investigators made to find Athena, and critical jurors could see portions of the evidence themselves. Excuse me. Coffee. Anyways, this wasn't simply an investigator telling them, we didn't believe Tanner Horner, the state could show why.
And that distinction is important in any documentary treatment of this case. It would be easy to summarize everything by saying, Horner lied, he did it. But prosecutors had to be more precise than that. What did he say? When did he say it? What did the evidence show? Did the story change before or after investigators revealed what they knew? Those details help distinguish an actual contradiction from a simple mistake. Prosecution also introduced DNA and other forensic evidence. Jurors heard about Horner's internet activity after Athena disappeared. Each category served a slightly different purpose. Physical evidence could establish contact. Digital evidence established the behavior. Video could establish timing. Interviews could establish consciousness and explanation. Together, prosecutors were creating the full picture they wanted jurors to consider when answering the ultimate punishment question.
The jury was also exposed to the recording of Athena's final hours, which...
We're not.
God, you can't even find those anyways. And even if I could, I'm not playing that. Which that's just horrible. I couldn't imagine if I was summoned. It's like, I was asking Unsafe this past week with the Lindsay Clancy. I asked her, I said that if you were summoned to that jury, do you think that you could be on that with them?
Absolutely not.
And she said, no, there's just no way. And I couldn't do it too as well. That's just, there's no way. I would find a reason to get out of it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the people that do sit through that, God bless their souls. that they could do that.
Right. And the only good part of it would be to put that guy away. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would
Other
be
than
the
that
only, yeah.
redeeming thing, but outside of that, having to survive that and go through all that evidence, just terrible.
Again, we are not reproducing their contents here, as I just stated. The purpose of mentioning them is not to create shock. It is to understand their legal significance. The prosecution argued that the evidence showed deliberation and choices that contradicted any attempt to portray what happened as one sudden accident followed by uncontrolled panic. For Athena's family, hearing those recordings meant experiencing something entirely different. They weren't exhibits. That was their daughter. So yes, we do have, just because it's so long, I was going to play a little bit. Actually, I'm going to try to find, Athena's mom took the stand and she witnessed on there, and there's a part that I wanted to play. I have to find it real quick.
Well, if you find it, I can jump to that part and start reading it.
Yes. Give me a minute while you're doing that.
I am her voice. This came from April 15th. Athena's mother, Madeline Gandy, took the stand. For years, she had been one of the most recognizable voices connected to Athena's case. She had spoken publicly, she had advocated, and she had helped keep Athena's name alive. But the witness stand required something different. Now she was being asked to explain her daughter to 12 people who were deciding whether the man who killed her should live or die. Madeline wore pink, Athena's favorite color, and she told the courtroom something that cuts directly through all of the legal language surrounding this case. She was there because Athena could not be. She was her daughter's voice. Victim impact testimony performs a function forensic evidence cannot. A DNA expert can explain lab results, Texas Rangers can explain the interrogation, medical examiners the physical evidence, but none of them can tell the jury who Athena was when she woke up in the morning, what made her laugh, what she meant to her siblings, what her absence did to the people who expected to watch her grow up. But her mother could. Madeline spoke about grief that did not end when Athena was found. That's one of the hardest things to communicate about a case like this. The crime happened on one day, the consequences every other day. A birthday arrives, Athena's not there. Christmas, a sister gets older. Classmates move to another grade. Every milestone becomes another reminder of the future that disappeared with her. Madeline has spoke about talking to Athena after her death, about apologizing, about wishing she had been there to protect her. The kind of guilt that exists even when a parent had no realistic ability to stop what happened. The mind still asks, what if? What if she'd been there? What if something had changed? What if she had never encountered Tanner? There are no answers that undo the outcome. For the jury, Madeline's testimony restored something that weeks of criminal evidence can unintentionally erase. Athena's humanity. The state was asking jurors to consider death. Before they made that decision, Athena's mother wanted them to understand exactly whose life was at the center of the case.
Sorry, I was trying to find where it's at.
I think if you just put her on and show who she is,
Yeah.
and kind of the way she talks, I think that would be a good impact.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and pan that over right now, and we will fire in a hole with that.
Now, if I remember correctly, you've got a little bit of medical training and knowledge, don't you?
Yes, sir.
What stood out to you when you read that information?
That there were no items of personal belongings listed with her, and that the only thing that was with her was the hands, or the bags around her hands. And I knew that that meant that she didn't have anything on her when she was found.
Excuse me. Did you have any chance to view or look at any
Or the innocent people.
What is it that sticks out to you? What do you want to know?
I know it sounds stupid, and I know it sounds selfish. I know he will never tell the truth. But I want to know where my daughter's shirt is. I want to know everything. But he won't tell me that. And I highly doubt that he cared enough to pay attention to when my daughter took her last breath. Because I brought her into this world, James. And I know when she took her first, I was there for that. I was there when she took her first steps and said her first word. But I wasn't there when she took her last. So I want to know where her shirt is. Because maybe he could give me that much grace.
Just have any more questions for you, mate? Athena spent in her life, didn't she?
Yeah, so that part I was trying to find was somewhere in there, but what it was her actually looking at Tanner saying that she will like never be forgotten ever, and she like looked at him with this look, and it made your hair stand, you
It's
know?
that fierce mama bear.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
100% agree, unsafe. It is. I feel so bad for her. So
But
incredibly bad for her.
she's got like her own I saw like shirt printing business now with all this, and she's got like merchandise that she's selling and stuff, and she's really booming with this now
She
with
is a
all of
badass.
this.
I will be completely honest.
I
She
mean,
is a
people,
badass.
I think it'd be cool to look at her shirts. I'd get one or something, or if we could get one and put it up here in the studio, that'd be really cool, you know?
That would be neat.
But anyways, on April 16th, Jacob Strand testified. I'm not going to play any videos from him. All I know is the dude has a beard that's like a legend.
It is huge.
I showed you that one, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing's like down to the floor.
Yeah.
He described Athena's personality, her spirit, her laugh, the characteristics of his daughter that he missed the most. But his testimony also revealed what Athena's death had done to him. Grief does not look the same in every person. Some people talk, some withdraw, some throw themselves into work, some become mad, some appear functional until everything collapses. Jacob described struggling deeply after her death. He talked about holding everything in and how the loss had affected him. The jury wasn't simply learning that a father was sad because his daughter passed. They were seeing how homicide radiates outward. One crime, multiple lives permanently altered.
Jacob was also asked about Horner, including an apology. Jacob made clear that he did not believe it. That matters because remorse can become an important issue during punishment. A defendant who pleads guilty can argue that the plea represents acceptance of responsibility. The state can answer, look at everything that happened before the plea, at the changing stories, the attempted bargaining, the explanations, and when responsibility was accepted. Was the guilty plea genuine accountability, or was it simply acknowledgement of a case of evidence that had already made extraordinarily difficult to contest? That was ultimately something jurors would evaluate for themselves.
Jacob's testimony brought Athena back into the center of the courtroom once again. Not the victim described in all this, documents and stuff. His daughter, a little girl with a laugh, her father could still hear in his memory. So like I was saying, we're not going to play his testimony or nothing. So now we're going to move on to when the defense asks for life. Eventually, the prosecution rested. Now, Horner's defense attorneys faced an extraordinarily difficult task. They were no longer arguing that he didn't do it, because as we all know, he already pled guilty. The facts surrounding her death had been shown to the jury. Their job was singular: give at least one juror a reason to choose life. The defense began presenting mitigation. Mitigation is a word that comes up constantly in death penalty litigation and is often misunderstood. Mitigating evidence does not necessarily mean an excuse. It is evidence the jury can consider when deciding whether death is the appropriate punishment. That can include childhood abuse, neglect, brain development, mental issues, intellectual functioning, trauma, family instability, substance exposure, relationships, positive behavior, anything that might help jurors understand the defendant as a complete human being rather than only the worst act he had committed. And that was where I was going to say that in the beginning, his defense was trying to claim that he was autistic. They were trying to pull that card, which I don't understand. Like, that's what you're bringing.
Touch that next.
Oh, well, I wanted to touch it now, I guess. I don't know.
Touched.
But, yeah, that was just crazy. I remember telling Unsafe that when I was watching the trial, and I know, shocker, I watch trials.
Yeah.
But I know, Chris, you learned something new about me.
Every time I walk in. Yeah.
All right, listen.
There's a reason you have a gavel.
Court adjourned.
Guy's got a gavel on his desk.
And this is one of the uncomfortable realities of capital trials. To take the process seriously, jurors must listen to both sides, even in a case involving the murder of a 7-year-old. Even after the defendant pleads guilty, the defense must be allowed to explain why the state should not kill their client. That isn't disrespect towards Athena. It's part of the constitutional process that gives a death sentence legitimacy. If the punishment is going to be irreversible, the defense has to be meaningful.
The defense outlined aspects of Horner's medical development, psychological, and family history. The court spent significant time outside the presence of the jury evaluating whether various experts could testify and what opinions would be admissible. That process extended the trial. Jurors heard evidence that Horner's upbringing and mental health. His mother testified. Experts offered assessments. The defense attempted to explain the psychological picture behind the man the prosecution had portrayed as calculated and dangerous. And the prosecution challenged these conclusions because diagnosis and responsibility are not automatically the same question. A person can have a mental health condition and still understand what they are doing. A person can have a traumatic childhood and still make deliberate choices. A diagnosis can help explain behavior without legally excusing behavior. That's the difficulty territory the jury had to navigate.
And remember Zero, the persona introduced during the interrogation? Investigators had treated Zero as an interrogation technique because they needed information. During sentencing, psychological evidence could be evaluated by professionals. Was Horner disassociating? Was the behavior genuine? Was it exaggerated? Fabricated? What did his story show? And did clinical testing show? The defense and prosecution could interpret those issues differently. The jury had to decide what weight they deserved.
So I'm going to read the plea letter right now from the court when he was doing his plea, when he wanted to plead guilty or what.
Is that what's up on the screen behind you?
No. To the honorable judge of said court, pursuant to Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 60, Madeline Gandy, intervening plaintiff, hereby files the plea in intervention and makes an appearance as a plaintiff in the above numbered and styled cause, the pending lawsuit, asserting claims against defendant Tanner Horner, Big Topson Incorporated, and FedEx Ground Packaging System collectively. On Wednesday, November 30th, 2022, parents across the world hugged their kids a little tighter as the news spread that a 7-year-old girl was missing in Wise County, Texas. In the following days, many joined the search, civilians and law enforcement, hoping that the young girl would be found alive. The hope was extinguished on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, when Athena Presley Monroe Strand's body was found. Athena's life had been taken, her very breath extinguished at the hands of Tanner Horner, a FedEx delivery driver. Shock and sorrow reverberated at the news. Tears were shed, hearts were broken, trust was lost. In the days after November 30th, 2022, the world started to learn who Athena was: a child, a daughter, a free spirit, someone who brought joy to those around her, a lover of friends, to her classmates, someone who could disarm you with her smile, a big fan of Disney musicals. America wept because in Athena they saw the best of themselves, their children, and their families. In the days following her death, the question of how could they let this happen struck a nerve each time a FedEx truck drove by. It still does. For so long, FedEx, the trucks, the uniforms, the logo, drivers, has been trusted to travel the last mile, to come to our doors, to be welcomed, and so often to deliver the subject of our desires. As parents hugged their kids on December 2nd, 2022, they wondered how FedEx became the deliverer of death. The lawsuit is about Athena Strand, a vibrant young girl who deserves to have her memory live on the good she brought to this world. It is about a life that was taken senselessly, a child who could have been any of ours. It is about a loss that could have and should have been prevented. It is about implementing better hiring, training, and supervising practices to prevent vicious killers from arriving at our doorsteps bearing insignia that has been cultivated to instill trust. It is about preventing billion-dollar organizations from insulting themselves from liability by using fly-by-night contractors instead of acknowledging the responsibility they bear when they trust them to come to our property, to our doorsteps, and even inside of our homes. The tragedy of this loss is compounded by the fact that this was not the first or last crime of violence committed by a FedEx driver. Another incident that happened in Middleborough was a FedEx contracted driver charged with raping a woman in his van. And then there was another one in Fulton County where a FedEx driver accused of murdering somebody. And in Virginia, FedEx worker busted for baffling murder of nonprofit founder. Warrant: FedEx driver dozed off before fatal North Cannon head-on crash. So, and it goes on and on. I did not realize that was not the first for them.
Oh, there's tons. You saw the plane crash.
Yeah.
Hi. Like FedEx,
Yeah.
they have issues. Also skip ahead to 15.
I gotta find 15. Well, that's you then.
Yep. For people unfamiliar with capital cases, the phrase sentenced to death can create the impression for the legal process is finished. It isn't. A death sentence begins another stage, and that stage can last years, sometimes decades. Texas capital cases receive appellate review. I think that's what that word is.
Sure, there's no horn.
And he stepped out. Issues
He had to
raised
use the restroom.
Issues raised during trial can be challenged. Defense attorneys may allege legal errors. Constitutional arguments may be raised. There can be state and federal proceedings. So when the courtroom emptied on May 5th, Athena's punishment trial was over, but Tanner Horner's case was not.
An appeal was filed shortly after the sentence. Court records reflected applicant activity with the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Then came another challenge. Horner's defense requested a new trial. Of course they did. They all do. The motion argued, among other things, that the extraordinary media attention surrounding the case had affected the defense presentation. The argument was that intense publicity and hostility surrounding the case discouraged some potential defense witnesses from participating, impairing Horner's ability to fully present mitigation. Prosecutors opposed that request. They argued that public attention and media coverage did not make the proceedings legally unfair and that the trial court had taken appropriate measures. That request did not overturn the conviction of death sentence. As of August 2026, Tanner Horner remains under a death sentence while appellate?
Is this appellate or appeal? Appellate.
Appellate. Thank you, Criminology Chris. Appellate proceedings continue. There is no execution date, and no one should expect one immediately. So where is Tanner Horner today? Even though we don't care, as a recording of this episode in August 2026, okay, Tanner Horner remains in the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice under a sentence of death. His direct appellate process is still developing. The conviction has not been reversed, the death sentence has not been vacated, and there is currently no execution date. That is the accurate status today. If the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals or a later state or federal court issues a significant ruling, the legal position of the case could change. Until then, the May 5th sentence remains in place.
And that's why we're careful about saying the case is over. The trial is over, the punishment verdict is over, but the appeals are not. Athena's family may still encounter Tanner's name in court filings for years. They may face hearings, opinions, challenges, and new news alerts every time something changes. The legal system moves forward long after television cameras leave the courtroom.
So over these 2 episodes, we have followed Athena Strand's case from an ordinary afternoon in Paradise, Texas, to a missing child search, a package delivery, a green van, an interrogation room, an arrest, years of legal proceedings, and finally a courtroom. The phase beyond a reasonable doubt is usually associated with the moment a jury decides guilt. But in Athena's case, Tanner Horner ultimately removed that decision from the jury. He pleaded guilty. Still, the idea behind that standard runs through this entire investigation. Don't assume, prove, don't rely on one story, test it, don't accept one confession, corroborate it, delivery records, vehicle evidence, GPS information, digital evidence, forensic evidence, interviews, search warrants, witness testimony, one piece after another. This is how investigators move from a missing 7-year-old child to the man responsible.
But after 2 episodes, we don't want our words to belong to Tanner Horner. Because one of the easiest mistakes in true crime is allowing the offender to become larger than the person whose life that was taken. Horner's name appears on the indictment. His interrogation became evidence. His mental health was a testimony. Sentence became a headline. But Athena existed before any of that. Athena Presley Monroe Strand was 7 years old, loved pink, loved Barbie dolls. She had sisters, parents, grandparents, family, and friends. People who knew her voice without needing to see her face. People who knew what her footsteps sounded like inside a house. People who knew her laugh, she should have grown older. The photographs we see today should have become childhood photographs of a teenager. Eventually, childhood photos of an adult. But instead, the world is remembering Athena as a 7-year-old little girl.
Sorry. No jury could change that. No death sentence could undo November 30th, 2022. Justice does not mean reversing the past. The legal system cannot give Madeline and Jacob their daughter back. It cannot restore the Christmas Athena never celebrated. It cannot replace the birthdays, graduations, future. What it can do is establish responsibility. It can examine evidence. It can require proof. It can give a defendant an opportunity to challenge the state. And eventually, it can reach a judgment. On April 7th, 2026, Tanner Horner admitted responsibility. On May 5th, 12 jurors decided his punishment, death. The appeals continue, but the factual center of this story has not changed. Athena mattered before Tanner Horner ever entered her life, and she matters after this trial is over.
So when this case comes back into the headlines someday, when there's an appeal, a ruling, or another court date, remember why the case exists at all. Not because of Horner, but because of Athena. Athena Strand, a daughter, a sister, a little girl who loved pink, and someone whose entire life deserves to be remembered as more than the final 2 days of it.
So that is it for our 2 episodes of the Athena Strand case. I got to head over to my boy Blue over there for his Inside the Criminal Mind with Criminology Chris. So here it is. I mostly wanted to hear the song.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
That's fine, because quite honestly, I don't have a whole lot I want to even speak on regarding this.
I kind of figured. I don't blame you.
To be honest, yeah. I mean, you guys covered the vast majority of anything that I would probably discuss or bring up. And at the end of the day, everybody in this room has kids,
yeah. And a lot of our viewers in the chat do too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you look at it like that, this is a disgusting situation. Go home. Like I said, in that one case we had with that guy that buried his kids in an oil.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
Watts.
just yeah.
Well, yeah,
equally
that we got more in depth with.
absolutely terrible to hear. This is just as awful.
So let me ask you this, Chris. How long do you think before they give him a date to kill him? Put him down, as I say.
I mean, some of those things drag on for so long. I wish they didn't.
Why do they? Because you said it costs more to put him to death than it does to have him life,
because
right?
it's because of all the appeals and everything like that.
Okay.
I mean, we still have people who've been in jail on death penalty for years or even decades.
Yeah, I mean, some of them go 20 years before they even get a...
Which is wild to me. I don't...
Hopefully Texas will take care of this a little faster.
Texas is a tough state.
They are.
They don't play.
No, Texas and Florida both. They don't mess around. So
I don't know if... Do we still have the death sentence here in Ohio or no?
We do. The only thing is a lot of those things kind of get put off.
Yeah.
I think because of the governor's views on it and
okay.
That sort of deal.
Unsafe where, I won't say where you are from, but do they have the death sentence in your state? If you're still here in the chat or not.
I know some states brought back the firing squad for death penalty.
Well, there's some that never got rid of it. I think Idaho and there maybe Wyoming or a couple other ones out west.
The firing squad?
Yeah, still. That was still
honestly, I don't know. Good question. Yeah, if you get a chance and you research it where you're, located, see if they still have it, because I'm curious or not. But
typically heavily Republican states still carry it. So, but
gotcha.
At the end of the day, yeah, like I said, hug your kids. Let's just do our best as human beings just to make sure that people like this guy don't get away with
It's just wild to me because FedEx, like I was reading in that, lawsuit there, they're people you can trust.
It's not and as you were reading, there is about 15 to 20 instances that she just listed where FedEx drivers had either killed someone, did something that's illegal, or things like that to people.
Well, there's a lot of people that work for that company, so I mean, at the end of the day, like you can draw lines between it, but truly, like,
I never understood why FedEx they subcontract. I never understood why they don't hire drivers within the corporation.
Well, because you can probably only handle so much.
Because
in certain areas.
Because I feel like it would be a better background check. You think they would have done something because he had some things on his record. Of course, the 2 rape incidents. We are one of 27 that does have it, but only by lethal injection. Okay,
right. Yeah, so
gotcha.
Limited option.
Is that it's lethal here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lethal injection here. We don't have the chair.
Yeah, I don't think so. So. I think there's lethal injection, and there's a popular one with nitrogen gas. I think.
Really?
But I know they did that down south. I don't know whether they did that here or not. I don't know.
Isn't nitrogen the one that takes all the oxygen?
Well, it's just it doesn't do anything for you to breathe it.
So it pretty much suffocates you?
So
basically,
that would be torture.
I think in the Mansfield prison they had the chair, right?
They did, and they had the hanging, the noose.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they hung them. Remember, they hung them from the entrance gate,
and that dates back.
Well, right? Yeah, but I was just curious. I'm sure they don't have the chair now in the current Mansfield reformatory that they use now.
In the women's prison.
No.
The women's prisons, yeah. I don't know. There's a few of those. I don't know much about all those, but so yeah. Anyways, we kind of wanted to wrap things up there. And Unsafe, we appreciate you every week for being modding in the chat and religiously being here and supporting the show and supporting us. We do appreciate that. Congratulations on winning your 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, kicking our game's ass. And
apparently, Missouri and Indiana are the only 2 states that allow a judge to impose a death sentence if a jury is deadlocked, unable to agree during the sentencing phase.
Oh, that's
okay.
Cool.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, we do appreciate it, guys. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week next week. And I'm going to have Jackie take us out of here for the night.
We can tell them they're...
Oh, yeah, they're not going to be here next week. But anyways.
There's not going to be an episode next week, you guys.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
We're all taking a much-needed break after this case, and we are mentally resetting.
Unsafe. I'm trying to still do the show next week. Don't listen to these two telling me to take a break.
Unsafe. I will be messaging you later. Thank you.
No. I'm doing the show next week. I'm doing the show next week.
Same crime place in 2 weeks.
No.
Bye, guys.
No. I want to see what she says. She didn't leave the chat.
All of us.
She didn't leave the chat. No. So I've been going hard. Please do. Please what? No, she's telling me to please continue. Message me. No.
I'll talk to you shortly, Unsafe.
No. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week. So
same crime time, same crime place in 2 weeks.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody.